One day I had been walking back from a late meeting when I spotted her, Lola, weaving through a busy Seoul street. She seemed preoccupied, her pace quick, unaware of how many stares she was getting. My pulse quickened and I gave into common sense and started moving in her direction. I didn't mean to follow her, but something about the way she hurried through the crowd made me uneasy. She was alone, and the streets at night can be unpredictable. I stayed back, blending into the crowd, making sure she was safe. As I followed her from a distance, I noticed the way she paused at a food stall, exchanged a laugh with the vendor, and continued on. Her kindness, her warmth. It all left me more mesmerized than I wanted to admit. At one point, a group of rowdy men brushed past her, causing her to stumble slightly. My primitive instinctive kicked in and I stepped forward, ready to intervene, but she steadied herself and kept walking. I realized then how fiercely independent she was. But even so, I couldn't stop myself from wanting to protect her. When she finally reached her apartment, I lingered across the street planning to remain hidden in the shadows, but then she turned to glance back, as if sensing a presence. This was when I discarded common sense and called out her name. Lola! I hadn't planned to reveal myself. I was content, if you can call it that, to watch her from afar, to ensure she was safe. But when she turned, her eyes scanning the shadows as if she could feel my presence, all reason left me. The street is quiet, save for the distant hum of city life. Lola's apartment building is modest, but inviting, its warm lights casting a soft glow onto the pavement. She stands at the entrance, holding a small grocery bag. Lola! I cried out to her. She freezes, her eyes widening in recognition as she turns fully toward me. The bag slips slightly in her grasp as she stares. A surprised look on her face as she asks, Joon, what are you doing here? I take a deep breath, stepping out of the shadows. I didn't mean to follow you, but I saw you walking and then I stopped speaking. Lola's brows knit together in confusion, but there's a softness in her gaze, an unspoken understanding. Joon, what are you talking about? She says. I take another step closer, the space between us shrinking, the weight of my emotions pressing against my chest. I feel myself slightly tremble. I'm talking about how every moment I spend with you feels like I'm finally living, how your laugh stays with me long after you've left the room, how you've turned my world, my perfectly ordered, predictable world, completely upside down. Lola's breath hitches, and she looks away, her voice a whisper. Joon, this is complicated. You're my boss. We're from two different worlds. What would people say? Whispering softly, I step even closer. I don't care what they say. I only care about you. About us. Lola looks up at me, her eyes searching, as though trying to find any hint of doubt. She finds none. Then Lola tentatively starts to speak. Joon, Before she could finish her words, I closed the gap between us, cupping her face gently, my thumb brushing her cheek. For a moment, time seems to stand still. And then, I kiss her. It's slow and tentative at first, as though we're testing the waters of a new reality. But it deepens, filled with all the longing and unspoken words we've held back for so long. When we finally part, our foreheads rest against each other's, our breaths mingling in the crisp night air. Lola whispers to me, You're crazy, Joon. And I retort, Crazy about you. I wanted to stay there forever, holding her, feeling her warmth against the chill of the night. But reality had other plans. Lola steps back slightly, her expression conflicted but tender. Lola. We need time, Joon. Time to figure this out. Can you give me that? I nod, my heart heavy but resolute. I'll wait as long as it takes, Lola. Just don't shut me out. She gives me a small, bittersweet smile, then turns and walks inside, leaving me standing alone under the dim streetlight. As the door closed behind her, I felt the weight of 1,000 uncertainties. But one thing was certain. For the first time in my life, I was willing to risk everything for her.